So before we start the podcast, we're going to start this podcast off with a verse. So we're going to be in Exodus 20, starting at verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water up under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. That was a long one. But today's topic is a very serious topic, which is why I went over all of that, all the 10 Commandments. Because the topic of today is the Roe v. Wade incident. I understand that this was like a month or two ago. I am extremely late, I know. I was still setting up the podcast and everything. But that's the one I want to go with today. I want to talk about that today. So let's understand the whole Roe v. Wade incident. Basically, abortion was overturned. You cannot commit abortion anymore. You can't do it. And the women and even some men have gone crazy about it. They're extremely upset about it. They really want to get that back. They feel like it's anti-feminist. It's the man's doing and a bunch of stuff like that. Even though one of the seats on the council was a woman, but we're not going to talk about that, huh? Okay, so people are probably wondering, am I pro-abortion? Am I pro-life? Honestly, I'm pro-God. So anything that he says is and shall be done. I don't care. All right, so let's get on to the topic. So, from my understanding, there was a book. This woman was talking about a book, and she was talking about it, saying like it's more about white supremacy, which is why they stopped abortion because they need more white children in this world. It's becoming more of a black economy. It's becoming more of a Mexican, more of anything that's not black. So this book basically talked about white supremacy. So them taking away abortion helps them to make sure that there's more white people being birthed into this world. It's the government, which is why I don't follow the government. I keep telling all that.
People are really frightened. If you don't understand the destruction of Planned Parenthood offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute, and he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, The main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country. He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you almost exactly what he says. He says there are three things we can do to solve this. Number one, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have babies, so we don't want to do that. He says the second thing you could do is increase the number of legal immigrants that are allowed into this country every year. Then once again, he says, unfortunately, the vast majority of those wanting to come to this country today are people of color, so we don't want to do that. The third thing he says, and white women had better pay attention to this, 60% of the fetuses that are aborted every year are white. If we could keep that 60% alive, that would solve our birth dearth. Does that sound like racism to you?
Can you talk a little bit about the trauma associated with
the trauma associated with it? One of the main traumas is it tells white people that they are superior because of a lack of melanin in their skin. And then they find out suddenly that we've got a black president. Traumatic. That's what the trauma is. Living a lie, finding out the truth is traumatic. Finding out now recently that within 30 years, white people will be in the numerical minority in this country is going to be traumatic. White people are scared to death right now, particularly white males. They're scared to death that they are going to lose their power in the future. And they are. But if you want to get ready for the future, if you want to be treated well in the future, treat others well in the present. What we do in the present constructs the future.
Yeah, so that right there got the whole thing. That like we over here we're talking about this whole situation like, oh, we're taking away women's rights. Oh, we're taking away. Oh, it's a bunch of it's it's toxic masculinity all over again. We're talking about it in terms of that. Well, really, this is all about the government wanting to take away, um, not take away, but they want to decrease the amount of black people or whatever, but they also want to increase the amount of white people that will be born. They want to keep that 60%. We're really sitting here talking about abortion like it's toxic masculinity and it's the pro-life people when it's about the white people just wanting to increase their numbers. I mean, it's not gonna happen really. Like they might be increased for a hot minute, but at this point now we got people out here uh doing shady stuff on the side, being Slim Shady. Then we got people basically just doing Plan B pills or whatever, grabbing as many condoms or whatever. Crazy thing that you know what? Let's hold the phone. Let's hold the phone. All right. Now I want to move on to some biblical viewpoints about this because people are always talking about you're pro-life or you're pro-abortion, and at that point I'm like, what about pro-God? That's a third option. Now I feel like none of this would ever really have been a problem in the first place had we all just been biblical. If we all were just sticking to the Bible, we'd all be straight. So let's get into some biblical viewpoints. First and foremost, don't have sex before you're married. That's the most simplest option that you could have ever went with. Just don't have sex until you're married. But the problem with society is that we're out here, we have no self-control. Y'all lack self-control, self-discipline, and now we're sitting here with more babies than we can count, but now we got baby bodies that's probably more than the amount of people in China. Dead babies that exceed the amount of people that's freaking in China, bro. But if we just had self-control and self-discipline, we would all be straight. Now I'm gonna go a little bit farther than that. If some of us didn't go ahead and start looking at pornography, then that also wouldn't really be a problem. Why? Because um, pornography teaches us to lack self-control and self-discipline. Then that's how you get people with anxiety. That's how you get people with depression. That's how you get people who are lazy. Pornography and masturbation are simply life draining. So when you have that, and then you have a person who just continuously does it and it becomes habit and addiction, and that just keeps on going, then you get to a point where this person has anxiety, depression, they're lazy, and everything else that a masculine, a real man would not. They wouldn't have those traits. Then they become less of a man. That's how you get these beta men. That's how you get these weak-minded people. I was once that person. Now I'm sitting here on a mic talking to people, trying to get them up as well. But that's a biblical viewpoint. But modern day people, we got them in such a place where they don't care. They're not really into the Bible like that. They don't really see any benefits of it because they're so weak-minded. Actually, they're not weak-minded. They're selfish. They're stubborn. And they think that sex is just for fun and games. It's to have fun. It's to, it's a natural part of intimacy. It is, but it's not natural to do it outside of wedlock. Let's get it. The origin of sex is for a man and a woman to come together, to be whole, to be one flesh, and to insert God into that marriage. Why? Because sex is the most intimate thing that you ever do. And it's proven in a natural society. Why? Because you have crazy baby mamas and baby daddies. That's not a mistake, bro. They still feel that connection. They still feel that rope, that rope that's tying that person to them. That's not a mistake because that's spiritual connection. That's crazy how, you insert it with the flesh, but it's a spiritual connection. But a lot of physical things have spiritual connections and meanings to them. My mom sort of like to think that when the hymen is broken, if I'm using that right, when the hymen is broken and the blood leaks out, that's a literal contract. That's like a signature saying that this person is what we're now one, and that God has connected us. That's why I was when the first hymen is broken. The origin of it was so that it will be a literal statement that I am now tied to this person. We are now one flesh, and it's going to stay like this. We have God here with us. He has brought us together. We're one flesh, and we're going to stick together. Now, yes, it's supposed to be fun and whatnot. It's not, I'm not saying don't have fun. I'm just saying first understand that sex is more of a spiritual thing with God and a connection. God's now going to spiritually connect you to, and now both of you are going to be one. And now no one, when you have God there and you love this person and then you have that first intercourse with them, now nothing can literally break y'all apart as long as you have God right there with you. That's romantic, very romantic. And I'm not saying, oh, it's supposed to be boring. Have as much fun as you want in the bedroom. That's your partner now. But what you're not supposed to do is do it outside of wedlock. Because just in case you don't get married, but you do it anyways, you're not connected to someone who you're not even with. And that's just going to create problems. I talked a little bit about this with my relationship, the modern day relationship versus courting. My last episode. I talked about that a bit, saying like um there'll be comparisons. They'll still be thinking about you. Even when they're doing it with someone else, they might still be thinking about you. They might be making comparisons like, oh, this person didn't do it like this person did. Now you're making all these comparisons, and then you're subconsciously picking a favorite. Oh man, it was really good with him, but this person's good as well. Do you? I don't know about you, but honestly, I don't need my spouse to be thinking, of someone else they were intimate with on that level. That's ridiculous to me. I'm your I'm your husband. Why are you thinking about someone who you're not even married to? Just because I'm doing a little bit different than he did, or I might have done something a little bit different than he did, they might not feel as good. I I need to be your number one. You've only done it with me, and that's it. The only person you can compare it to is me. Some of y'all gonna be thinking, "Oh, that's insecure. You're just insecure." But why do you want to compare in the first place? Why do you want to make comparisons? If you're gonna be with this person, explore explore it. Explore the bedroom, explore what you like, what you don't like with this one person. So that way now you're on a journey with this person. You're on a sexual journey with your husband. That's just gonna bring y'all closer together. Now you're letting this person explore you, and then you can explore him. But you would have never been exploring in the first place had you already know what you like and didn't like. You might think you're saving time, but honestly, as far as I'm concerned, you're more so deleting time that you could have been spending time with your spouse. Taking away good time that y'all could have been spending just because you want to know what you like before you even do it. Pity. So, going forward, many of y'all definitely gonna be talking about sexual let me not use that word. Essay. Because, platforms are sensitive nowadays. So let's talk about essay. I didn't talk about this with him, but Young Don made a pretty good point when his whole debate with who was it? I don't remember. I don't remember his name. But he talked about he made a Twitter post talking about how his wife nor his daughter could ever get essayed, and it just blew up. But he made good points. People keep saying like he probably didn't say it right or whatever, but honestly, he just continued to make good points after good points. Basically, anyways, a man's responsibility is supposed to be a hedge of protection. God is the first one, but then there's the husband, there's the head of the household, which is the man. So the man is supposed to always be protecting his wife and his daughter, and his children, anyways. So much so that they walk on a spiritual path and they can't get that saved. So with all that going for you, if we as men not only did this with our wife and our daughters, but with people that we see on the street as well, women who are just out there on the street, and we see them, we look over, we see this person walking alone. Let me tell you, a woman is not even supposed to be walking alone at night, anyways, in the first place. Why? Because this whole entire world is messed up as it is. Y'all out here wanting to do what y'all want to do, but y'all don't understand that y'all wanting to be so independent is only going to breed bad things. I want to talk about it's not supposed to be like this, it's not supposed to be like this. We shouldn't have to worry about this. Well, guess what? You're going to have to worry about it because the word is only going to get worse. Explain the Revelations, explain to Matthew, the prophecies and whatnot. Things are only supposed to get worse. But y'all ignore that. Y'all ignore the Bible. So of course y'all wouldn't know this. Y'all would just be thinking, wow, it's crazy. The world is just only going to get worse. Oh, all we're doing is backpedaling. We're only going backwards. No, God is coming back. Y'all concerned about the wrong things. So y'all end up doing the wrong things. Y'all so blinded. Y'all want things to be a fairy tale. Y'all don't want things to only be good. But that's not ever going to happen because one, God is coming back, and two, things are only supposed to get worse. It's only, very much so, only supposed to get worse. I can't emphasize on that enough. So, with that, going forward, if men just did what they were supposed to do, we would not ever be having these problems to begin with. If we took care of our woman, we took care of our daughters, we made sure they knew basic self-protection, if not more advanced self-protection. We armed them not only with physical prowess, but spiritual prowess as well. And we even went as far as to protect the random woman that we come across. We wouldn't really have to worry about the wicked men or the wicked women who went as far as to commit SA, whether it's women or whether it's men, because men get SA too. We wouldn't have to worry about that. Therefore, you wouldn't have to worry about cases coming across a woman or a man, or we're going to focus on women, a woman getting SA'd and, getting pregnant. We wouldn't really have to worry about that. The cases would just drop significantly. Those cases would rarely come, if not, it didn't come at all, because our men are doing what they're supposed to be doing, being men, and our women are doing what women are supposed to do, being women. But now we got women wanting to be men. So obviously that's just going to breed problems. Y'all gonna get real offended by that, but y'all women are not doing what you're supposed to be doing, not being women. But I understand y'all got so many men out here who are not even being men to begin with. But if you do have a man who's being a man and then you're confusing that and you're thinking he's just a toxic man, then obviously that's on you. That's not on him. That's what I was saying. In Revelations, yeah, things are always going to get worse. So y'all men who are doing what y'all supposed to be doing, just stay committed to it. And y'all men who are not, and y'all boys who have not been grown, or not been groomed to be a actual man, I suggest you take some advice. I suggest you actually look into how to be a real man. Do not look at Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate's not a real man. He's tripping. If you want to learn how to be a real man, read your Bible. And if you need an example, look at Jesus. If you need another example, which you shouldn't really need another example, I would suggest go look at Young Dawn. I mean, I could recommend looking at me, but honestly, I'm not here to be an idol. I'm not here to be an inspiration. And quite frankly, I'm still young and I'm still growing. So I would suggest looking at Young Dawn and try to find some people in your life who are actually following what God teaches. But honestly, all you really have to do is just read the Bible. It should be that simple. It should not be that difficult. So with that, there's also the law where it's also God saying, follow the laws of the land. And yeah, you're supposed to follow the laws of the land. So if the law has been passed that you're not supposed to have an abortion, well, quite frankly, I believe that, or God already said, make sure you do follow the laws of the land. Some of y'all still gonna go out there and commit an abortion. But God also said follow the laws of the land, but he also made sure that it will be a fact that you're not supposed to get an abortion. First and foremost, the commandment said to not murder. As much as y'all like to believe that killing a baby isn't murder, it in fact actually is. One, a baby is a life form. Simple as that. There's not no sort of experimentations or whatever saying, oh, it's not life. It grows into life. Matter of fact, the moment it is into the womb, it is in fact a life. Why would God create something that isn't life but turns into a life? That doesn't make sense. It's a life form. It just grows as well, like we do. We grow, we get old, and we die. You can't be dead, then come alive. That's not how it works. You're alive, you live, you're alive, and then you die. You don't die, and then that don't make sense. You get what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, it don't make sense to think like that. So, first and foremost, follow the laws of the land, and then but as long as those laws of the land are not contradicting to what God says, then you're straight, you're Gucci. But I don't know how else to tell y'all that. Next topic is responsibility. Part of y'all don't even want that. It's not. It's babies are not convenient for some of you. So, let me get this straight. You want to have intercourse, which the origin of intercourse is to be fruitful and multiply, and to have a straight up connection with God. But the main purpose of it is to be fruitful and multiply. That's really the main purpose. Is to have kids. That's really the origin of it. Is to have kids. So you're gonna tell me you're gonna do something that the origin of it is to have kids, but as soon as you're about to have a kid, it's not convenient to you. This is what I'm talking about. Modern day society is only twisting the narrative. We're twisting the narrative to what we want it to be instead of what it already is. Y'all want to recreate the foundation of something, but you can't even recreate the foundation of it because God has already put it in place. You're crazy. You're extremely dumb, ignorant, and you're wicked to try to twist something that has already been set in stone. You're gonna try and break the stone, but you're only gonna be able to do so much, but break the stone. Y'all do not want that responsibility though. I don't want the responsibility, just like how some toxic women don't even want to take accountability for the things that they do. They want everything but to take accountability for what they want. This responsibility, though, you're going to still be held accountable and responsible for every action that you make when Judgment Day comes. So we have these people talking about how abortion is setting us back and whatnot, and it's because of toxic masculinity. But the problem with that is the fact that y'all think that having abortion is helping your feminist movement, when in reality, your feminist movement, abortion never helped that to begin with. Let's talk about responsibility, because these two are very much connected. Your feminist movement is to make things equal, which is stupid already because we're not equal at all. As far as our life is, yes, it is equal, but as men and women, I mean, the gender itself is already not equal the moment that it's created. The moment that the baby is confirmed to be a man or a woman, it's already not equal. Not because of societal norms, it's because God has already said that we're not equal. A man is supposed to be a head, the woman is supposed to be his ribcage, his side, supposed to be his support. Because every commander needs an assistant. So I mean that's proven time and time again. But y'all want things to be equal, but there cannot be two alphas. There cannot be two heads because heads are just going to collide. That's why there cannot be two gods. That's why there's only one God. That's why you can't serve another master. That's why you can only have one master. You can't serve two. But here we are trying to make things equal. That's stupid. But getting to the point, responsibility. Men don't want to be not men. Little boys don't want to be responsible for their child. Exactly why a lot of boys or toxic men don't go on ahead and this is why the toxic men go as far as to support the abortion because they realize I I can hit and I ain't got to pay no child support. I can get my rocks off and I don't have to have a kid. This is why they're supporting it because they want to get the rocks off. If you only understood that these men, toxic men, boys, whatever you want to call them, if you would understand that it's extremely hard for them to even get inside the get his what do we call this? Call it as it is. The scientific. We're gonna call it the scientific name because they don't like the c word. So they don't like they. It's incredibly hard for them to get inside the vagina. So in that case, when they can get inside the vagina, but they do not want to have kids yet, of course they're going to support the abortion because they found someone that they can get inside, but they ain't got to pay no child support. Once again, they're breaking the laws of God. They're getting abortions, which is murder. They're having sex outside of wedlock, which is breaking the law of God. And they're not being fruitful and multiplying. But if you're going to have a kid, yes, bring that kid into this world. Now, that's going to be touchy for a lot of women and whatnot. What if I got pregnant because I got SA? Punish the one who did it. Don't punish the child. That's touchy for a lot of you. I understand that. But don't kill a life because it was brought to you in a way that is, yes, pretty much traumatizing. Don't punish the child. Punish the one who did it. Punish the one who committed the act. Don't punish the result of the act. Punish the who committed it. I mean, that's a life. We're gonna end a life because of another life. We're, that's already messed up. I mean, we got people who are already talking about how lives are equal, but y'all want to end a life because what? A life that was brought out because of an essay is deemed unworthy of living? Is that what you're saying? That life is unworthy because of how it was brought into this world? I can understand the act is very much an atrocity. I can understand that the act of essay is an atrocity, but not the life brought into it because of it. That's very controversial. I get that. But it's still a life nonetheless. At the end of the day, that is a life that you're ending. Simple. It's simple, but I understand um how much it probably hurts to think that I would have to bring a life into this world without my consent, without my permission, because of an act that was forced upon me. I understand all of that. I mean, I can't relate to it, obviously, but how many of us can relate to being killed because we didn't just want to be born? How many of us can just relate to the fact that we were killed off for something that we didn't even do? We have to pay the price for something that we didn't do. I mean, I can relate to having to pay the price for something I didn't even do. I can definitely understand that. But being killed because of it? No. We want to talk about how it doesn't have a conscience or anything like that. So, it's kind of an act of mercy. God very much disagrees with that, though. God definitely disagrees with that. Because once again, that's a spiritual life that's going to be brought. And if we have to imagine having to see your child that you aborted in heaven, but you also have to answer to God for that as well. The woman's body being able to produce life is a gift. Even life itself is a gift. Life itself is a gift. It's not the way that it's brought to you. It's the life itself and it being formed inside a woman. But to be offed because of that, to be offed because of something that you didn't even do is crazy. But anyways, yeah, abortion doesn't help y'all women. It kind of helps with not having to take responsibility, but same thing with men. It helps men. So, y'all want things to be equal, but I mean, I guess that's equal in a sense. It helps men and women, but y'all want to look at it as a W for y'all and on y'all only, but it definitely does not because it only helps men for the most part. So, I, I, I heard about a woman talking about how the price of the vagina has gone up, how the price of uterus has gone up. I mean, the price should have already been up, in my opinion. Y'all was out here sleeping with almost any man that y'all felt like y'all wanted to sleep with. That is another topic for another day with the fact that women can sleep with whoever they want and men have to work for it. That's a topic for another day though. Anyways, the price of uterus should have already been up, skyrocketed, and everything like that. Why? Because the uterus is very valuable and God has created it as such. Y'all sleeping with just about anyone as y'all want to. Um, yeah, only devalues your uterus. as as I understand how that makes me sound. It makes it sound like any toxic men, but you should not be giving up your box to just about anyone or anyone who you deem worthy enough to come inside of you, both physically, literally and metaphorically. It's like you have no standards. You might think you have standards, but you honestly don't. Isn't your uterus supposed to be what your husband uses only? Just like how you're only supposed to use his penis? Like, come on now. The uterus and the penis are both husband and wife material, not boyfriend and girlfriend material, not stranger and prostitute material. None of those things. It's for the husband and it's for the wife only. Now, what if you got married and you got a divorce? That's understandable. But we're still doing it in wedlock. You were still doing it wedded. That's all God wants. I'm not saying get married and then have a divorce because obviously that's not God at all. If you just get married, do it, and then have a divorce afterwards. No, that's dumb. Why would you even think of that? But in the first place, the person uterus should have already been up. That uterus should only be reserved for your husband only. The same thing with a penis. Your penis should only be reserved for your wife only. Not your girlfriend, not your little side chick, not your little, not your little side piece, bro. Not your friends with benefits, not that stranger that you found on Tinder, not that little prostitute. Your wife, your husband, and that's it. I know that self-control is very much hard, isn't it? Yeah, I get it. Trust me, I go through it as well, but you can't fold just because of that. It's like just like cheating. Like you can't fold just because a woman came up to you and she looked really good. You can't fold because of that. Same thing with that self-control. You can't fold just because a woman looks good. She's a baddie, she's your girlfriend, and you plan to marry her. You can't do it just because you plan to marry her. You do it when you marry her. Only. There's no exception. Not before, but after. Get your head out your ear. Stop tweaking. That's what I'm saying. Your price should have been up there. All we're talking about the price of uterus should have been up. Is it going up? It is just now going up. Come on now. It is just now going up. You're just now thinking of pricing it up. You have to have like a plan B, or you have to be a what is it? Yeah, cir no, not circumcision. It's yeah, that vasectomy. Yeah, we're talking about vasectomy. No, vasectomy is not it. Vasectomy is not it at all. Should never be. So y'all was talking about how like a man have to get a vasectomy or a plan B or something like that. Excuse me. But anyways, yeah, a vasectomy, no, I'm not getting it. I don't care. I want to have kids one day. I'm not going to get that vasectomy. First and foremost, y'all was tripping talking about vasectomies. Um, y'all talking about like how a vasectomy is supposed to, you can you can get a vasectomy and then you can reverse it. When in reality, that's not really the case. Like it might work for a second. It might work that one time or whatever, but it's not like, oh, an on and off switch. That's not how it works, Chief. But yeah, y- y'all was really going at it with that vasectomy, bro. Like that's crazy. Listen, women, just respect your bodies. Come on, respect your bodies, and two, the price of your uterus should have already been up there to begin with. I'm very much pro women in the sense of y'all should be very much valued because y'all are. Y'all are being a support doesn't mean you're lower on the spectrum. It means you're right there with us. To be an assistant commander is a really good spot. You don't have to do as much work as the commander, but you still reap great benefits by being right there on the side, right there with them. It's like having a administrative assistant. You work for the CEO. You don't got to do the work of the CEO, but being that assistant puts you in a spot where most people can't even be at. To be that, to be a wife to a very good man, meaning that you're right there, you're that administrative assistant. You're going to be in a position where no one else can get to. And if any reason at all you feel like you're not respected, you have direct access to talk to them about it. Y'all are very much valued, and if any man does not make you feel valued, well, breaker, he's not a man. So with that pregnancy and whatnot, with if you're like getting pregnant or anything like that, now I really want to talk about I really want to talk about like what is abortion, which I mean most people understand how like what an abortion is. But let's really dive deep into that because a lot of y'all don't really seem to understand what an abortion is, and a lot of y'all ain't gonna like me when I put this into perspective. The deliberate termination of a human pregnancy most often performed during the first 28 weeks of pregnancy. Now, I just heard about the word deliberation, so I want to know what that is. A long and careful consideration or discussion, meaning that you are making a decision to go back to it to terminate a human pregnancy. Human. It's a human. It's a human pregnancy, meaning that what you're basically considering to be a parasite or whatever is yeah, that's human. No matter how you look at it, because it's a human pregnancy. The life is being formed inside of a human, therefore that baby must be human, whether it's a sperm or a fetus or whatever the heck we want to call it by any scientific norm. But at the end of the day, it is still one living to human. I mean, humans have to start off from somewhere, right? This is like talking about a chicken and the egg. What came first? I don't know. To me, that's kind of crazy to think about it. Like, y'all really debating about what came first, really. Is it a human? Well, it gotta be if it's inside of a human, one. And yeah, like I said, two, it's like a debate with the chicken and the egg. What came first? So that's an abortion. But the main argument I was hearing is ectopic pregnancy, which is by definition, or I mean, let's look it up. A a ectopic pregnancy. What is a ectopic pregnancy? And we're just going to use Google because everyone likes to use Google. A pregnancy in which the fetus develops outside the uterus, typically in a fallopian tube. The fertilized egg can't survive outside the uterus. If left to grow, it may damage nearby organs and cause life-threatening loss of blood. And 9 times out of 10 cases, that woman is going to die. So let's talk about that. We want to basically consider this to be a pregnancy, which the baby can't survive, obviously. It can't survive outside your uterus. So, I don't know. We want to talk about mission failed. Is a unsuccessful pregnancy. It is a failed pregnancy. A woman can't survive. The woman and the baby can't survive. So is it still an abortion? No, because it's not even. It can't even be considered a pregnancy at that point. I mean, we call it a pregnancy. I don't know why, but it's not a pregnancy if one, the baby's going to die, and two, the woman is also pretty much going to die. If it's going to rupture organs, you might not even be able to get pregnant again. So it's a failed pregnancy. Point blank period. I don't know what to tell you, Chief. So is it an abortion? No. If anything, it's an operation to save your woman. It's an operation to save your life. Now let's talk about the government. If the government defines a ectopic pregnancy as a pregnancy, and therefore you can't get a quote unquote abortion for a ectopic pregnancy, a failed pregnancy, that's the problem with the government, not the people. The government is tripping. The government is tweaking. The government obviously does not care because for some reason they think that I don't know, the baby can survive. Therefore, take that up with your government. Now, if we're going to talk about the mother's life, what does the Bible say about protecting a woman's life during a pregnancy? If at any point a pregnancy can risk the woman's life. Last I did my research, that woman's life is very much so important. If you're in a position where the baby can live, but the mother will die, at one point I'm thinking, from what I remember, it's more so a decision between the woman and the husband. If the woman wants to risk it all and is willing to sacrifice herself for her child, then I don't know, go for it. If the success rate for the baby living is definitely there. Now, if any reason it's not a ectopic pregnancy, but the woman will end up dead and the baby will end up dead, then at that point, that's still a failed pregnancy. Now, if the baby will die, but the woman will live, then obviously, yeah, that's still a failed pregnancy. But yeah, last I did my research, you can, however, protect that woman's life. The chances of a life-threatening situation with a mother and a baby in which abortion is quote unquote necessary to save the woman's life is a very, 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 very slim chance of that even occurring. And in most cases, all you really have to do is to save the mother's life is one, not abortion, but to have a early C-section or a early delivery in order to save the baby's life and the mother's. So, and if for some reason you are ended up in a case where, yeah, we have to abort the baby or we can deliver the baby, but your wife will die. In that case, if you're even remotely religious or you believe in God, pray to God for wisdom and pray that He will save you because God is a God of miracles in that case. So there should be no reason why he won't both protect the woman and the baby and to perform a miracle in which will end up glorifying him. Now, for some reason that doesn't happen, then I mean, God obviously had a plan or he had or he had other plans because God has got plans and he's all knowing. He's um, omniscient. But y'all want to ask the question, is a fetus or whatever a baby? When is it a baby? My answer is always a baby. From the moment that that pregnancy is successful, not a failed pregnancy, not a other scenario, whatever. The moment that it is a successful pregnancy, meaning that um the egg is fertilized and it can actually grow inside the uterus, not outside of it. At that moment, it is a successful pregnancy. Anyways, I always think it's a baby, regardless, though. But there was an argument saying that no, it's a parasite, which you're not wrong because the baby does, in fact, need that woman in order to continue to grow and everything like that. But I think this person was talking about how it's not alive because of it, because it's a parasite and it needs that person to live. But that's a little bit confusing because for one, let's look at the definition of a parasite. An organism that lives in or an organism of another species, its host, and benefits by deriving nutrients at the other's expense. But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker. What is an organism? An individual animal, plant, or a single-celled life form. Now, definition of humans, or as we're called, we're animals, meaning that we are a life form, meaning that that baby is alive from the moment that that egg is fertilized and it's starting to grow. It's alive. You can't be a parasite if you're dead. You have to be alive in order to be a parasite. Therefore, that baby is alive. I, I don't, definitions right there. You can't be an organism if you're not a life form. You're that parasite you're talking about is a life form. It's alive. So, I mean, that's just me though. I mean, I don't really know what else you want to talk about, but yeah, that right there is a life form, Chief. I mean, I think I just went over all y'all questions, how y'all feel about this stuff. If y'all got any other questions, you might as well just comment down below if you feel like you disagree with me. I don't really know what to tell you, but if y'all really want that conversation to happen, all right, that's fine by me. But the baby's alive. Abortion is never necessary. It's like hardly a case where it even is considered an abortion as far as ectopic pregnancies go. And yeah, learn some self-control. Your price of the uterus should already have been up there to where you would have to basically be, or actually you need to be a husband or wife in order to yeah, become like that. And yeah, sex is not for fun and games. It's a spiritual connection that incorporates God into it in order to make sure that it is founded and very much reserved and protected. That marriage right there is protected. Do not get yourself connected to someone who you're not going to marry. Matter of fact, don't even get yourself connected to someone who you're not married with. I had to correct myself with that one. Don't get yourself connected to someone who you're not with. You're not married to. It's not worth it. It's dumb, and it's only going to cause more pain than uh, than good fortune. 9 times out of 10. Yes, there is a case where you might have intercourse with that person outside of wedlock and then you get married and then that marriage is successful. Sure, cool beans, but 9 times out of 10, that's never even the case. So just keep it, just stay intimate. And if you really want to know how a relationship should be going about and everything like that, because at some point you get to a point in a relationship where it's like, I don't really know what to do. I think we already know each other like that. So I don't know. Let's just have sex. You're stupid. You're dumb. You're ignorant. And no, don't do that. Go ahead and listen to my previous episode about relationships and courting. Get an idea, follow it, and I guarantee that 9 times out of 10, courting is the best route. But that's it. That's all the time I have for today. Hope y'all enjoyed this podcast episode. And hey, I'll see y'all next Tuesday. I might end up changing my day. I might end up changing my podcast day to like Thursday because this is already it's late. It's pretty much late. And this podcast is going to be up in like probably around 10. So that's my bad. I just got my laptop and whatnot. So just got my laptop and I was trying to get this darn thing to work. It wasn't working at first, but hey, we got this baby to work. So we're in here. We're Gucci. Hope you enjoyed this episode. And hey, make sure you follow God and stay unfit.